All right, you guys see my screen? Yes? Okay, cool. All right, guys. So I'm gonna dive in. So I think the first kind of course of action is and how to work around the platform, guys, is you have this here, which is the Oracle kind of sphere that's going to tell you if we're bullish, bearish, or neutral on the market. As of right now, we're mostly neutral on everything outside of crypto. Crypto, we're a bit bearish on still. We just see this as a relief bounce, but nothing more for now. I think there's gonna be one small leg lower, and then I think crypto is gonna be officially bottom. Could be wrong, but it does look like it just because of the weakness around this level. This shows you the active signals. This shows you the confidence. This shows you, for gauge, what the stream is, etc. Currently have 3 active plays on the platform. You could filter it right here by best, conviction, or new. We have the confidence index, and I'm not gonna because a lot of you guys seen all this stuff already. But if you're a new trader, this will be a signal stream for you. You'll see the stops we set, the entry, the T1, T2, what to do now, and the signal thesis. And then if you wanted to just break it down and see what option recommendation is, it would be broken down here. We have that. You can also break it down by chart, where you can track the chart with us via TradingView. You can set up your own indicators on our platform. Everything's pretty much set. And then we also have, our confidence index score here as well, and the risk to reward ratio. We have history here as well if you want to track the external performance. We have notifications where you guys set it up here. If you guys had to change anything about your profile, etc., it's going to be all right here. And if you wanted to learn, that's going to be an option as well. There's an Oracle guide too, guys, where we updated a lot of stuff that'll tell you about this specific page in general. Oh, shoot, guys. Hold on. Sorry. How about now, guys? Good. Now good? All right. Sorry about that. All right. So, yeah, this is basically the Oracle guide that's walking you guys through everything. Do you guys want me to start over, or you pretty much got the first part? Okay. So how you basically operate on the stream, guys, is this is the Oracle sphere. It'll tell you basically for bullish, bearish, or neutral on the market, what specifically we're bullish, bearish, or neutral on. We're bullish on the dollar, and then neutral on mostly everything else outside of crypto. It shows active signals here, what we're engaged in, and then ultimately these are the active signals right now. There's currently 3. One's a future play, and then the other 2 are active stocks. You would just click through and you would see the what to do now, the stops, entry, live, T1, T2 of the stock, the profit taking plan, and the full signal thesis, as well as the confidence index score here too. We also have a chart from TradingView that gets integrated here where you can just look at for yourself and basically see, essentially what levels you want to look at with Microsoft in general. And then alerts are all set up right here. We also have your profile settings here if you guys need to update anything or do anything on the platform. Our historic performance is all here, win rate, etc. You can see our active trade. And then we also have alerts set up here, like notifications, etc., just to set up sounds and everything else. We're enhancing that much better, guys, but how it works is just you go to settings and you just want to get alerts for stuff. You would just click this through and then it will alert you when you're actively in the platform. So there's that. Then we also have one of my favorite features, and this is really going to be our hero product, guys, but it's our flow scoring mechanism. So how you incorporate flow and how it works, guys, is as an example, right? This is EY. Whale spent, or basically somebody spent $1.2 million on the 190 strike for July 31st. That's 4% out the money. Each contract is $1,100. It seems bullish here. It also has a decent amount of bullish premium. But why this was ranked high is because it looks like AI might be coming close to a bottom soon. So it might get a relief rally. I'm not saying it's the full bottom, but it looks like it is potentially happening. So a lot of these AI stocks are the top scorers, like QCOM, APL, Oracle, RAM, etc. And you guys can just choose whichever one you like if they fit kind of your criteria, your budget. And I also always tell people, utilize charts too, just to make sure it works, because a lot of these are just either people with big money spending or buying contracts and not understanding the charts, or they're just they have insider information sometimes. So this is also the market overview sector here. There was a lot of bullish and then a lot of bearish flow today. QQQ had a lot of strong bullish flow, and it shows you if you wanted to add anything to your watch list, you can set it up here, which is really cool. So we have watch list enabled, guys. That way you guys can have, that all set up for you. If you want to search up a ticker that's not actively here and just see the past flow for a week or 2 weeks, etc., it'll be over here. This was a low score that actually killed it. So this BABA contract was for July 17th, 103 calls. BABA right now is at 110. So this flow 4 or 5x from there. And again, guys, premium isn't everything. I want you guys to understand that with flow. We look at a lot of things that incorporate the higher score, but realistically, you want to look at the chart. You want to look at what the upside could be, and you want to look at, if stock's been heavily sold as to how it can kind of scale back to where it was, or, hit all-time highs, etc. So yeah, these are the flows, the flow scoring. We also have a flow guide here that'll show you everything, how to read a flow card, what the flow tab shows, conviction score and tiers, sweeps, whales, and badges, watch list, and then quick tips on flow in general. And then, yeah, you can set up your filters here. You can filter by score, direction, type, and then premium size, if it's a sweep, if it's a whale, etc. There was actually a QCOM whale today. I don't think we've had a whale in like 2 days. I actually like that chart, and I think QCOM might bottom soon, so it does seem like it's a good trade. Yeah, so there's that. I'm going to come back to flow after, once we've gone through Prism, because I want to show you guys how I look at things with Prism on top of flow. But for right now, I'm going to dive into the heat map sector thing here. So the heat map for the S&P essentially showcases all the individual stocks, how they performed on the day, price-wise, if it's up, what percentage. If you want to filter it by flow, you can do that here. And then the cool thing about it is you click through and it looks like, wow, NVIDIA had crazy call flow today. And that makes sense actually because, wow, $18 million in call, because NVIDIA ended up announcing sales to China for their chips. So it makes sense why a lot of people are buying NVIDIA calls. And this basically, kind of walks you through all of that stuff. You can filter it out by table. How I interpret this, guys, and I'm going to make it really simple for you, is I like to look at the best performing tickers on the day, and it'll show you basically, okay, which ones were leading, right? It has the industry here, and it has best performers. So it looks like ACAM, I think that's actually AI software. So it makes sense why I had a big bounce. Valero, obviously you guys know gas. SMCI bounced today, and then all these gas stocks, and then semiconductors. So it looks like semiconductors had a decent rebound today. So either they continue or it gets rotated out. The cool thing about it too, guys, is you can just filter out as well here and just see which ones. But like I said, how I interpret it is I like to look at top performers of the day. I like to look at the weakest performers of the day. So biotech has been killing it. They took a hit today. Actually, most of the biotech. So Moderna, ResMed's a biotech, Align Technology is a biotech stock. Yeah. And then there's airlines as well, which makes sense because gas soared. So that basically adds fuel to the fire with airlines. So pretty much that's how I look at things, guys, on my end, is like, okay, I'll look at stocks, I'll look at sectors, which ones are leading, etc. I think we're going to either have two things here, guys. We're going to have an Ask Oracle where you can just basically ask questions. Okay, like what sectors are leading today, or, what's the highest flow, amount stock today, and it'll show you all that stuff. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of things we're going to be doing to enhance the platform for you guys and make it like 10 times better. So that's the sector heat map. I'm going to stop because I covered a lot. So Nico, yes. So even if something has low premium, it could be really good. Again, premiums don't mean shit don't mean anything unless it's like a weekly that's like unusual or has a high amount. Granted, back in February, no, not February, April, QCOM had like an insane December call flow, and it was for like 20 something $million. That's unusual. So that's something where I'm like, okay, I'd consider buying that just because it's a lot, right? It's unusual. It's a lot of money. It's something that you can tail. But we typically like to line it up. All right, does the chart make sense? How much is the premium? And then, will it work in terms of upside? So that's why a higher score. Good question. So the RS is based on, I believe, volume traded, to be honest. Yeah, it's volume traded, Mick. So, but like honestly, guys, like I said, what I do with the platform is I'm on the platform in the morning. I'm looking at the sector heat map when the market opens. I'll filter out the top performers of the day. Okay, what's leading, what isn't, what the issues are. Is going to be like, is there going to be another rotation today? Are semiconductors leading? Is AI leading? Is anything else leading? And then I'll hop into flow. Typically takes like 15 minutes where you can get more flow scoring, like and flow coming in. So I typically wait for that after. But the goal is like look at the sector heat map at the beginning of the day, see which sectors are leading, see where the rotation is, if there is any rotation on the day or if there's a continuation, and then hop into flow and see how things are going, and then obviously use Prism and everything else. Yeah, 10 a.m. I think would make the most sense. I mean, 10 a.m. is typically when like the highest like volume comes in anyways. Yeah, so 10 a.m. is when I typically start it. For all you guys that join now too, guys, this is being recorded. We're gonna have this on YouTube. I'm gonna post YouTube, but we're gonna do more demos. And apologies, guys, I haven't done more. It's just we've been overwhelmed. We're just a two-man team right now, so there's a lot that we need to kind of scale up, and we need to add more people to the team eventually. But I'm just trying to make this the most efficient for you guys as possible. So that's why we're rolling out updates. We're doing so much stuff, and I'm super excited for V8. That's gonna be insane for the flow scoring. So it's going to be way better than what it is now. And then obviously we're starting the flow challenge with that, with V8 released. So Mick, what do you mean by walk us through ACAM? And don't apologize, dude. It's all good. Are you just saying like if I seen it, like what would I do? Oh, yeah. So with ACAM, right? I don't know how many of you guys know this, but they basically power semiconductors to some capacity. So it's more so an AI trade rather than software, but it is software for semis. So me looking at ACAM, if I see it in the morning, then I'm just like, okay, it looks like semis and AI is getting bid up again, which it did, right? I think you was starting to bottom out in the morning. I don't know when ACAM, like, let me look at the chart actually. I'm looking at my phone really quickly. I mean, I just don't want to disregard from this. Hold on one sec. So ACAM, yeah. So ACAM looks like, I mean, it went up at 10 a.m. and then it just kept going in the afternoon. Again, with ACAM, they do. Oh, there's cloud. So with them, if I would have seen it in the morning, essentially I would look at all the other AI plays. So I would look at Vico, I would look at obviously Nvidia. Nvidia had really relative strength in the morning. AMD, ARM, and the other stocks, and just look at which ones have opportunities. I think Intel's chart. Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, so that's another positive news on that side, and I think they're involved a lot with AI stocks. But I think, Mick, like I said, how I would do is like if I looked at ACAM, then I would look at all the other semis and AI stocks and see which ones have opportunities. Plus, potentially, like I think Cloudflare went crazy as well today, and Cloudflare has been on a tear too. So it looked like cybersecurity was getting bid up, plus stocks, plus. So I would look at those individual sectors, see which ones are lagging, see which ones have the most opportunity, and then kind of line up Prism with it. So I think I'll just dive into Prism just to do that as well, make it easier. So let's look at, I'm going to go into GEX first because I think it's not here. But guys, if you want to search up a ticker for now until we set it up, let's say ACAM, right? You type it here, ACAM in the search bar, and then you go to Prism and it's going to pop up for you. Just a FYI, guys. I didn't know this was fully possible until recently, but it's kind of, you could do that with just searching tickers. So I like that. If you guys want us to search individual tickers, do that. So I'm going to walk you guys through Prism and kind of what makes sense with ACAM and how it was like cleaning in the morning. So with ACAM, it has a lot of upside or gamma, and basically how it works, green is call side, red is put side. If it's a positive, that means there's more call flow on this individual strike. If it's negative, that means there's more put flow on that individual strike. And then as you can see, there's a lot of green upper nodes to the downside as well. So these are heavy support for call sides. So even if ACAM, just say it went down, I think it would be a big spot or a big level, at the 127.50 level, which is right here, just because it's a big call wall. But if I was looking at this in the morning, right, and I was basically trying to interpret which levels look the best, 131 looks good, right, because it's lit up. But I would also do possibly, maybe the 135s for July 17. That way it gives me enough time. And it looks like it has a lot of upper gamma here as well as here. And, essentially it gives me more time to really trade the stock in general as a continuation play. ACAM doesn't have a lot of unusual volume, so I'm going to dive into a stock that has a lot. So let's go into Tesla, guys. So Tesla, there's a lot of upper gamma and there's downside gamma right now, right? So downside gamma meaning anything that's red, upper gamma is anything that's green. As of right now, hold on, let me just expand the range. We'll do the range and then the strikes. So 717, a lot of volume on the 410, a lot of volume on the 395. Decent downside nodes here, but more so upper nodes. I think realistically it has a high chance of gravitating towards 410 on maybe July 17th or a little bit further out. And what these basically are, guys, if you wanted to look at an OTE, you can click this here. If you want to look at it all together, basically all the outstanding gamma flow, you can see this here and see basically how much calls outstanding, how much puts outstanding, and where the walls are leaning to. And then, like I said, the more so the ones that are lit up have the higher chances of hitting. Again, I know the 410 is lit up for Friday. I like to buy time. So I was telling SV this earlier. July 17, 410 calls are better, or potentially 420. That way you have time for it to play out. Tesla's chart looks good, but it doesn't look the best until 400 breaks. 400 is a big call wall here. So, and then guys, if you want us to search up any ticker, it's all here. I'm going to dive into SPY just because SPY is easier, right? SPY, as an example, 740 was lit up since yesterday. It hit 740 in the morning. So it went from 746 to 740. Yesterday, 750 or something was lit. We hit 750 yesterday, and then obviously we had that pullback at the end of the day a bit. But how you would do this if I'm looking at this, like right now, it looks like there's a huge wall at 750, call wall, that can gravitate basically SPY to. 745 is a big level in general where it's holding. There's a lot of upper green gamma as well as somewhat negative exposure too, but that's where bears are trying to break the downside. And if it breaks 745, it can literally plunge to 740 potentially. And then if it breaks up 745, we can potentially lean to 750, 750 plus by Friday or even next week. I think right now SPY is trending upwards. After hours, it's at 746, but I don't look at after hour action. So yeah, I think that's pretty much how you can interpret it. And for all you swing traders that don't do SPX or SPY or same day, how I'll look at this is, okay, how is the market trending today? All right. What levels does it look like the market's going to go? Am I going to have buying opportunities or not potentially? So I will look at this and say, okay, there's a lot of downside. There's a lot of upside potentially, but it looks like SPY is leveling out at 745 right now. So it's either going to, break out or break down. It just depends. This is a big level. There's a lot more negative exposure, but there's a huge increase in positive exposure in the past couple days or the past day. So that's how I would interpret it. And then just see, basically if there's buying opportunities, etc. And then for all you day traders, you typically can just see, okay, if I wanted to pick two options, potentially puts, I can do 740s for either Friday or next week, or I can do 750 calls because there's a lot of upside and there's a lot of downside potentially on SPY this week to next week. Next week, by the way, guys, is OPEX. So a lot of these, not saying they're inflated, but a lot of these numbers are basically, overexposed because there's a lot of options that are expiring in the next week. So example, people that have bought for 717 or anything else, it's just a huge date, right? So that's how I'll do that. I'm going to give you guys another success story about Meta. So yesterday, one of our moderators bought Meta, and Meta was lit up for 625 for Friday. And it still is. There's a lot of positive, gamma for Meta. So it doesn't look like it has a lot of downside right now because there's a lot more call buyers than put buyers. But he made 250%, I believe, in like an hour on calls. It's on, I posted it on my X, guys. But, typically that's how you want to play it. Again, I like buying time. So if I'll see basically Meta has a lot of exposure at 625, let me get the 640 calls for August. That way I have an extra month. I'm paying a little bit more premium, but there's enough time for, me to make money on this stock. So, and these are the two ones that are basically kind of the leaders in terms of like how much call exposure or upper exposure it has. So that's all the stocks here, guys. Again, we have a top 50, but you can search this up on if you wanted to look at individual stocks on GEX, and then it'll transition over here. And then this is going to get better, guys. The Confluence, we just enhance this, visually enhance this. It's not bad. I just want to make it look better. It'll basically show you all three tickers and show you, what the upper nodes are, what the lower nodes are, and how much positive and negative gamma there are on the stocks. You can also filter out by VEX, open interest, volume, unusual, etc. And then the ranges, the how many days out, the metric, and the scope. And then also here's a Prism guide, guys, just for questions or if you guys need support as to figuring out how Prism works, etc. But like I said, guys, how I'll typically do it is I'm gonna go back to flow. So QCOM, right? This whale trade looks interesting. So I'm gonna look at it. It's a whale trade, right? You guys know how we feel about whale trades. Let me dive into Prism on QCOM. All right. So QCOM has a decent amount of negative exposure, but it has a higher amount of positive exposure. There's 190, which is a big level that it could potentially break and then get up to 200. And again, there's a lot more. It's kind of a mixed flow guide right now, but there's a lot more positive than negative at the moment. So I would buy this potentially, but I would buy either that same expiration or a little bit further out to give yourself enough time. 185 is a huge level for QCOM, in my opinion. So as long as it holds above, the chart looks, decent for a short-term upside. And I think earnings is coming up as well. And then Oracle, right? Same thing, guys. I think Oracle flow came in for that. So let me walk you guys through that. Oracle had the same flow as yesterday, the 147, July 31st. So it looks like this whale keeps buying it. So Oracle has actually way more positive gamma than negative, although negative gamma is kind of picking up. 145 is lit up for Friday. It's at 141.25, which isn't that far out now, and I had a good close. So I would buy either that whale, which is July 31st, 147, or potentially do 150 August, just to give myself enough time. But it looks like a good trade because there's a lot of upper nodes here. And by upper nodes, guys, I'm talking about more call buying than put buying. So there's a lot more upside than downside at the moment. So it looks like the stock potentially is bottoming out. And you guys know Oracle's chart looks terrible, but a bottom might be coming shortly. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop for questions. So how do I figure out where the call wall is with Tesla? With Tesla, it's basically on the chart, and there's a lot more premiums. So let me go back into Tesla Prism. Hold on. Or we could do GEX, guys, too, because GEX is available too, and I'll show you. But so we go to Tesla here. The magnet is 400 here. And it should be the same level on Prism, but basically shows this is where it basically flips. There's a big call wall too at 410, but this is where it flips into positive gamma territory when it passes that 400 level. So it'll be a huge flip of momentum for Tesla. It's still in a somewhat bullish structure because it just broke down today, but the past couple of days it was up. But once it breaks 400, there's a lot more, positive gamma than negative. So that's how I would interpret that. 410 is a big call wall as well, and 410 had highest lit up premium outstanding. So would it not make sense to do an in the money call using Oracle put wall prices to call strike? In the money call using Oracle put wall strike. I mean, I don't know if it would make sense, Mick, for you to do that. I mean, yeah, you could actually, because it is safer. But like again, you're going to be paying a higher premium. You can always buy time, dude. Like I always say, time is your best friend, right? Just because something says July 17 doesn't mean you could always take it, right? Even if like let's just say we have a signal on the platform that says August, you can always get September because I feel like time is your best friend, especially with this market. So you buy a month out. I don't think there's any issues with that. And then Porov, favorite ticker. That's actually not bad. We could possibly do that. I actually like that. Maybe an alert based on unusual Prism activity. But again, I want you guys to use a platform every day, guys. So like, I don't know if that necessarily would be as important, especially if you're in the platform. It'll take 2 seconds just to like look it up, especially if you're doing it. What I would do, Parav, is I would add Meta to your watch list on flow scoring. And if there's anything that popped up unusual, you go on Prism and it'll show you. That's how you can alert yourself. Basically, you have your watch list for Meta, and then it'll show up any unusual flow, and then you could basically go on to Prism, etc. And the stars there, what does that mean? For example, I was looking at eBay for next week. It means there's, so let's look at eBay as an example. Hold on. I don't think it's here, but let's just pull it up. eBay. All right. So with eBay actually, wow, it has a lot of positive gamma. It looks like, yeah. So basically, it's just showing that there's a lot more upside with eBay at the moment. I mean, it's a $5 move, so it's not much for a week and a half out or a week and 2 days. So basically, it's showing you that there's like the stock is gravitating upwards. And again, guys, this is OPEX. So OPEX has, like, you'll see it. It has a lot of people that bought calls a month, 2 months, 3 months out for July 17th that haven't sold yet. So there's a lot of outstanding gamma that people purchase upper and lower gamma that still it hasn't expired yet. So that's the other thing that could be. But there's a lot more calls for 120 than any downside levels. That's what it means. So if you were to pick a strike, I would do 120 July 17 or further out. Nico. All right. Did this come up on our thing? Let me see. Hold on. I'll tell you right now. 708. One sec. Low. Did it pop up? Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. July 14th. Came in at 953. I mean, I'm like 90% sure they closed out. I have to have a unusual, basically showcasing if a whale exited. But I can tell you right now. I mean, honestly, I think they did exit, to be honest. I'd be shocked if they swung it because they made money right away because QQQ's levels in the morning were, essentially obviously high and then it dumped. So I'd be shocked if they would have held it, especially on the upward move. I want to add, a tracker that shows when whales sell. So that'll be included potentially in the next couple weeks or so. All right. That's pretty much it, guys, in terms of the platform. So again, there's a lot more updates coming. In hindsight, what Prism does for everybody is basically it showcases how much positive and negative gamma are on a stock, what basically call suggestion or call recommendation it would choose if it was to pick based on how much calls outstanding, puts outstanding there are. And yeah, I think the goal is it just makes it much easier for you to realize what levels are most important for a stock and on top of how much outstanding call volume or put volume there is on a stock. So that's pretty much what Prism does. You guys know what GEX does pretty much. GEX just gives you levels, gives you outstanding, same thing, kind of similar ways, but it doesn't give you, the gamma drift like Prism does. The heat map basically shows all the S&P, the percentage change, active flow, a whole sector interpretation of what's moving, what isn't, and then you could filter out and look at it every day. And then obviously we have our flow scoring mechanism, which is one of my favorite features. They'll basically show you high flow scoring, etc. I typically don't touch anything under 75, guys. I've been like looking at a little bit more lower because sometimes flow gets missed in terms of chasing, but if the chart lines up, I'll buy it. And then we have Oracle tab, which is our active signals plus Oracle Sphere and everything else on the platform. All right. Is there any other questions, guys? Let me just end this Loom video really quickly. Just one sec.